Next, we need to instantiate the monsters in waves. In Everwing, normally monsters come in a wave of, I think 5, I don't remember, and the player should be able to move left and right and pick which monster to attack. So we will make this change in Game Manager. But first, let's get rid of this monster. Let's also get rid of the player. Make sure to hit apply if you haven't already, and delete the player. Again, everything is saved here, so don't worry, we didn't delete the player forever. The reason I'm doing this is because we will want Game Manager to handle all the instantiation of the player, the monster, and everything. It makes everything way more flexible if we do everything by script. Okay, so Game Manager, we already had this before. All we're gonna add for now is a public player. So we're gonna add something to instantiate the player, and all we'll do is instantiate player. This will update and it'll open up this player field that we can drag our player prefab into if everything worked alright. When you hit play, your player is right back with all the bullets, working just fine. Wonderful. We will also need a bunch more things, so we'll also need the monster. Our Game Manager will create the monsters, but we want them to come up in waves. So the way we're going to do that is create a game object that holds all the monsters as children. Oh, not all, but just 5. We'll have a public game object for the wave. A set of 5 monsters will be children of that wave. We will need some way to generate this monster wave. So void generate monsters, or generate wave. I'll call it generate wave. Okay, so in generate wave, we will create the wave game object and set it as a child of the Game Manager. So all of our waves will just be sitting under Game Manager right here. So game object monster wave is just going to be an instantiation of a wave with position vector 2.0, quaternion.identity for rotation, and transform is the parent. So this Game Manager, whatever this script is attached to, will be the parent of the monster wave. Okay, and the next thing we'll need to do is actually create 5 monsters at a time. So let's do that with a for loop. For int I equals 0, I is less than 5, I plus plus. So this will repeat for 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. It won't do it the 5th time because I would be less than 5 and we'll break out of the loop. Alright, so this will be a little bit complicated, but essentially, if you think of the 0 as the extreme left of our screen and 5 as the extreme right, where would you put the monster in the middle? You'd put him at exactly 0 plus 5 divided by 2, which is 2.5, right in the center of the screen. And now where will the rest of them be? They will be right here. They will be at 0.5, 1.5, 2.5, 3.5, and 4.5. So one will be a little bit towards, the reason it can't be 0 first of all is because that would mean half of the monster is being chopped off by the screen. So we want it to be a little bit to the right of the screen. So this will be our left monster, this will be our middle monster, this will be our right monster, and these are all the in-betweens. You'll see how we'll use these numbers. Well, first we need to generate these numbers. We'll set x to be I plus 0.5f divided by 5. So all this does is take whatever I is, add 0.5, and then divide by 5. And now we'll use x. So we'll say vector2 pause is the camera main screen to world point. This might look familiar. We did it once here, but now we need new coordinates for our screen. New vector2 screen.width times x. So we're just gonna scale. Our screen.width by this value. And by the way, we didn't just use these raw values, we divided those by 5 to get a ratio between 0 to 1 instead of 0 to 5. And screen.height is the height. So we want these monsters to show up at the top of the screen, but again, this is going to be a problem. That means half of the monster will be chopped off by the screen when it enters. But we kind of want the monster to show up a little bit higher up. We'll worry about that later. I'll show you what I mean. So we'll instantiate the monster, the pause, quaternion identity, monster wave.transform. So again, all we're doing here is instantiating the monster at this specified position with no rotation, and its parent will be the wave. Actually, let's just fix this issue right now instead of playing it. So plus equals vector2.up times monster.transform.localscale.y. So what this does is whatever position this determined the starting monster to be, we're just going to move it a little bit up, and the exact up value will be the height of the monster. This guarantees that the monster will start above the screen so that it comes down smoothly. Okay, we need some sort of way to actually start generate wave. We'll need a function to start this, so void start monster generation. That sounds so fancy. And we'll use the Unity function invoke repeating, which we did use for our bullet before. So we're going to use that for our monster to constantly generate monsters every few seconds. So our method name is generate wave. We'll start generating monsters in 2 seconds. So first, let's give the user a 2-second break in the beginning to get used to the game, and repeat this method every 3 seconds after. And now we'll just start the monster generation here in start. That should be all we need for generating monsters, at least script-wise. So now in Game Manager, once it updates, you have a monster and a wave. So we'll drag in the monster here, we have that already, but what on earth are we going to do about the wave? That's simple. Our wave doesn't need anything. We just create an empty game object, not as a child. Make sure everything is resetted here, and we'll call it wave, drag it as a prefab. It's nothing, it's just empty. It's just a folder in a sense. And drag wave into Game Manager. And this is all we should need to create these waves of monsters coming down repeatedly. There you go. So as you can see, I'm moving around and shooting monsters. This should just work. It's already, in a sense, a fun game to play. We don't have the boss, we don't have coins. Those are the next steps. And we also can't die yet, which is fine. I like games that I can't lose. I'm sure we all do.